Lindsay!
David!
It is so good to see your face. It's been way too long.
I know, I miss you.
I miss you too. How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm feeling so much better. I'm like a new human again. So it's been good. It's been a struggle last few weeks, but I am here.
Thank God. I know it's been a very, very rough few weeks, and we'll get into all the details and stuff. But before we do, I'm so happy you're okay. I'm so worried about you, and I'm just so happy you're okay.
Thank you. I am too. I'm just like, I have like a new lease on life. I feel like I'm just grateful that I'm healthy again because it was just so scary.
Yeah, and it's hard to, I think for a lot of people, including myself, it was really hard to wrap my head around this whole thing before, it happened to somebody that I knew.
Yeah.
And it's super unfortunate, but I think at this point now, everybody in New York knows somebody who has been affected by this physically, like has gotten ill or has a friend of a friend who's gotten very ill. And I think it's interesting because the virus seems to be affecting people very differently. There's some people who get it and get sick and they're, they have a pretty bad cough and then they're fine in a few days. But that was not your experience.
No, yeah. And I've talked to people too who reached out to me like via Instagram or text and who are like, I kind of feel sick, but I don't have a fever and I just have a slight cough and I lost my sense of taste and smell, but like otherwise I feel fine. And so I feel like there's such a large degree of how it's affecting certain people, and it could be, some pre-existing conditions that like made other people more sick, but I'm a young, healthy person, and the fact that I got as sick as I did is just very alarming and scary because I'm only 32 and I consider myself to be pretty healthy, and I don't
You're over 21, Lindsay. All right, so wait, tell us how the whole thing started. So anybody who's watching who doesn't know us, Lindsay works with us at 11 Ounces. We spend a lot of time together. We work together. We hang out together. We're good friends. So I was actually sick and out of the office, the week before we closed the office. So I didn't even see you the last few days you were there. So give me I don't even know. So tell me how the whole thing started.
Yeah, so I had been isolating and social distancing and practicing everything that we've been told to do, and so I didn't ever think that I was at risk. There were a couple times where I went into a CVS but they have tape on the floor and they have the little barricade. So I, at that point though, this was almost 3 weeks to a month ago at this point. So there wasn't at the big plastic barricades and the tape on the floor yet. People were practicing social distancing, but it wasn't as intense as now. I've gone outside a couple of times now that I'm recovered, and I'm like, oh, okay, things are totally different now. But when I originally got sick, I went into a CVS a couple of times. I got takeout food a couple of times, but otherwise I was just going for one walk a day and staying my ass at home.
And how did it start? Because you weren't anywhere.
No. So on Sunday, it was a Sunday night, and I started feeling just achy and fevery, a little I lost my sense of taste. I was eating dinner and I was like, I can barely taste this. This is fucking weird because I didn't feel sick yet. And so, but I had a little bit of shakiness. I was feeling kind of fevery, so I took an Advil and I just went to bed. But then I woke up in the morning and I was really groggy. I felt like I was getting, I don't know, something was happening. Again, I was not thinking that I had COVID. I was just oh, maybe I have a little allergies or not feeling well, whatever, it will pass. And then by the third day, I had up to a 101 fever. And so I was oh fuck, I'm really sick. I was scared because I knew that was the main symptom of getting COVID. and I was starting to develop a really bad cough. And I will say, like, for anyone who doesn't know me really well, like, I have a really bad cough 24/7 all year round. It's just kind of one of those like dry coughs. If I'm laughing really hard, I'll start coughing. But like, other than that, it's not ever been like a health scare thing for me. But I will say about 2 months ago, I finally was like, all right, I should go to the doctor and like figure out why the fuck I have like a cough all year round.
I thought it was just that cough was just there to let me know when I make like a really good joke. That's when I know I've like gotten a really good one. So that's
just for you. It's my body's reaction just for your jokes.
It's a medical condition. It's a good
one. And so I had gone to the doctor. He prescribed me an inhaler, and so I had the inhaler with me. And this will come into play later. But anyway, so I started having really high fever. And chills, and started like sweating, really bad cough, whatever. So by like day 3, it went up to 103. And that's when I knew I was like, I'm really sick. I don't know what to do. So I made an appointment with my doctor on like day 3 because I wasn't sure. Like I'm not a huge doctor person. And I thought like,
person.
Yeah, like usually I just thug it out, you know. I'm like, whatever, I'll be fine. But then once the 103 fever came into play, I was like, okay, I need to get on a call with my doctor. So I called my doctor. They set me up with one of the like telemedicine, and I spoke with her, and she was like, we need to talk multiple times a day, every day. I feel like I don't have a test, unfortunately. Like, I can't test you. You're young and healthy. If you want to take the risk of like going to a what are they called? The walk-in clinics. She was like, I just wouldn't recommend it because I'm pretty sure that you have it and you're highly contagious right now. And so she basically was telling me, do not leave your house. We'll get through this together. We're going to be on multiple calls. She has like a chat thing set up where I could like message the portal. And so
She sounds amazing, first of all.
She was so helpful and like honestly so incredibly responsive and nice. And like I feel like a debt of gratitude to her just because I was like so scared. And like I was messaging her at like 3 a.m. being like, hi, sorry, I know you probably aren't going to read this, but like I'm scared and I don't know what to do. And like, you know, like, and she would respond and be like, it's okay, calm down. Like, if you really feel like you can't breathe, call the ambulance. We'll get to that. But so this is like day 3. Have her. So she prescribed me some medicine, and this comes into play here because this is a big question around what's going on with the medication for COVID. So she prescribed me something called prednisone. And that is a stimulant, a steroid that helps open up your lungs. And so that arrived the next day. And so the next day, by day 4, I was again having like 101, 102 fevers. And I started coughing so intensely that I couldn't breathe. Like I couldn't sit, I couldn't stand, I couldn't lay down flat, but I could get into a position of kind of like laid back but at an angle where I could, it was like that was how shallow my breathing was. And I was just trying to breathe in through my nose so that I wouldn't cough, because anytime I moved even slightly, like going to the bathroom was like the hardest experience, because I couldn't, if I even like got up to move, I'd be like, whoa, and like just coughing, but it was coughing so dry and so like constricting that I couldn't catch my breath to like breathe in again. So like that's why I was so scared, because I like could not breathe. And so by like day 4, day 5, I'm still having 100, 101, 102, 103 fevers up until like day 7. And so like from day 3 to like day 7, 8 was just consistent. I was just in bed or on the couch, like trying to fucking breathe. And so the prednisone really did help, because it opened my lungs enough for me to be able to take small, shallow breaths. But by like day 5, I had reached out to one of my really good girlfriends, Melissa, who's a nurse. And she was like asking me what I'd been prescribed, because she's worked in ERs, and also her like cohort of nurses is working on the front lines currently. So shout out to them, all amazing people who helped me so much through this. And she kind of freaked me out because she was like, do not take prednisone. Whatever you do not take prednisone. And I was like, well, I've been taking it for 3 days and it's helping me breathe. Now I'm freaked out. And so the reason though is because prednisone essentially like dampens your immune system and prevents the virus from like when my temperature was rising and my fever was breaking when I was taking Tylenol, that's a good sign, you know, because like my body's responding to the fever and like trying to fight the virus. Prednisone kind of prevents that because it prevents your immune system from working as it should. And so it's okay for people to take when they have like respiratory problems, but not like super high fevers and like a virus running through them. And so I guess they had done a lot of testing in like in vitro dishes that like showed the effects of prednisone like helping, but they weren't 100% sure of how it affects the human body. And so Melissa was going back to all of her nurses working on the front line and ER doctors, and they were all saying, do not take prednisone. And this was coming from like 8 or 9 healthcare professionals through Melissa to me, texting me, and I'm laying there in my bed alone and I can't fucking breathe. And the only thing that was helping me get through my nights was taking the prednisone because I knew I'd be able to breathe. So then I was in a conundrum of like, I don't know what to do. So I was reaching back out to my doctor and she was like, look, like, the thing about this is we just don't really know, you know, like prednisone, if it's helping you, you should continue to take it. But yeah, she's right. It does lower your immune system, so it's harder for your body to fight the virus. And at that point, I was on like day 8 where I was down to like around a 100-degree fever. So I wasn't spiking to 103 anymore. And I could take shallow sips of breath without forcefully coughing for like 10 to 15 minutes at a time. So I just, well, in my own personal judgment, and I'm not a medical professional and I'm not recommending anything to anyone who's going through this right now, I personally just stopped taking the prednisone because I'm more of like a natural kind of person when it comes to doctors and medicine. And I was like, you know what? I just want my body to fight this the way that it's supposed to. And so even though the prednisone was helping me a lot to just be able to have regular breathing, I just made the executive decision to not take it because I was afraid. And Melissa had such a strong conviction of being like, look, dude, like you can take this, but like I just strongly recommend you to not. And so you're on mute.
My bad. Did you talk about Melissa's point of view with your doctor that you had been talking about? Was this something you discussed, or did you just weigh both options and make the decision?
I told my doctor, look, I have a really good friend who's a nurse, and she's been talking to multiple people on the front lines of this who are working with COVID patients currently, like right now, and they're all saying, don't take this. And what do you think about this? Because you're the one that prescribed this to me. And she had put me on a double dose because that's how bad my breathing had gotten, is like it like started to basically like be ineffective. And so like she doubled my dose. And at that point I was like, I don't even know if I should be taking this, let alone a fucking double dose of it. And so she was like, look, if it's helping you breathe, I think you should continue to take it. But like, she is right that it may suppress your immune system, but I think you're coming out of this, like you're on day 8 already, like you're sounds like you're trying to turn the corner, and I think you'll be okay if you don't. And you could potentially use your inhaler to try to get some of the steroid that's in the inhaler into your lungs. But I could not fucking breathe. Like there was no way I could have used my inhaler. Like only up until like 7 or 8 days ago, when I'd already been 5 days symptom free, could I use my inhaler, because that's how like restrictive my lungs were. Like I just couldn't have breathed that in. So I was honestly just taking whatever the fuck this is called, Mucinex, because it just was the only thing that kind of dried out my like respiratory system enough for me to breathe through the night. And so like I was just kind of like dosing myself with Mucinex, Theraflu, and Tylenol, and just like getting through the rest of it. Luckily, my fevers only lasted for 2 more days after that. So I had fevers for about 10 days straight. And after I stopped taking the prednisone, I got a lot better. And this is just my personal experience. I don't know if it was the prednisone or if I was just, my body was fighting it and I was naturally turning the corner with it anyway, prednisone or not. But that was my experience. And so by the time like day 9, 10 rolled around, my fever had gone away and I was still having extremely bad coughing. Like, again, hard to sit, hard to stand. I was so weak because I hadn't eaten in about 10 days. All I could get down was like hot broth and a little bit of oatmeal.
Why couldn't you keep food down? Were you throwing up as well?
No, I just was coughing so bad that I couldn't physically, like, it was hard to drink water because I'd take a tiny sip. I'm talking a tiny sip of water and I would immediately, like, I just couldn't get anything down. Like, it was just so hard to swallow.
Because it was just like a constant cough 24 hours a day. Like,
and it wasn't like I felt like I want to throw up. It was like, you know, like forceful, just dry cough, like as if someone like knocked the wind out of you and you're trying to like breathe in at all. Like, that's how it felt. And so like anytime I would like move just even a little bit or lay flat or move or like try to walk, like walking to the kitchen to get like Gatorade or water was like my worst fucking nightmare. Like, I was just like, okay, you can do it. Like, I would put it off for like 3 hours. Like, that's why I was so dehydrated and couldn't like barely eat, because like physically getting up to walk into my kitchen was so taxing and such a tough cough that I had to mentally prepare myself to be like, you're going to have a 10-minute cough fit. You're going to get through it. You'll breathe okay. And then you'll come back and lay back on the couch and you'll be fine. Like, that's how I was mentally prepping myself every time I had to get up or move. And so like, just going through that like for 10 days in a row was like just extremely mentally challenging, and also because you're alone. And so like I'm extremely lucky. Like, I have a wonderful support system, and all my friends and family were constantly reaching out to me and calling me and texting me, but like I couldn't talk on the phone because I couldn't talk, you know. And so I remember
I tried to call you. It was
yeah. And I was like texting you pictures of like my thermometer, like, dude, I'm fucking scared. Like, I don't know what to do because you were sick. And I was like, maybe he knows, like, what did he do, you know? And, but anyway, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but
it's all good. So I mean, so you're there alone for 10 days, sick. You can barely get up to go to the bathroom or to get food. How were you getting your medicine and like food that you needed or anything like that?
I was like, when I would need water, I would put chicken broth in a mug and put it in the microwave and just take my little mug of water and fucking broth and go back to my coffee table and just like gingerly lay back into the position where I was able to breathe. And I would just, you know, like that. Like, it was just
like, how'd you get it? You were sick. How'd you get your medication?
My brother, he was such an angel. Like, Mac, if you're watching, I love you. Shout out, Mac. He dropped off 3 different times bags of groceries for me. And so like he would just come and knock on my window. I live in a brownstone where like my windows are at the street. And he'd be like, Linny, I'm here. And like, he'd leave it, and like he had gloves, mask, everything. And like he would leave stuff on, or he'd come into my hallway and just like leave it at my door. One day he did come in and like set everything up because I just physically could not get up, but I can close off my door from like my living room to my kitchen. And so like I just closed it off, closed myself in there, and he wiped down everything before he entered and like set up all my groceries, put the broth in the fridge for me. He got me like orange juice, you know, anything that I would need. I just like, he just got it for me and delivered it to my door. And so like that was a lifesaver because I couldn't, yeah, even if like I did try to do like a Fresh Direct or grocery delivery or something, like I was so weak that it was hard for me to get up and walk to my front door to like pick up a grocery bag. You know, like that's how weak I was. And it was obviously because I wasn't eating and I was so dehydrated because I was barely able to drink. And so it was just a fucking nightmare. Like I probably like, I don't know, this sounds like so dramatic, but like I was like crying on the phone at night because I thought like I wasn't going to wake up because that's how shallow my breathing was. And I was just so scared.
I don't think it sounds dramatic when you look at like the statistics and what's happening.
Yeah.
A lot of, healthy young people have got this virus and haven't survived, and it's really scary. I mean, it seems like, I think when we first started hearing about it, it was really just like, oh, if you're young and healthy, it'll just be like getting a common flu and you'll be fine. But old
or
people
you won't even get it. Like they were saying, young healthy people are like, you're fine, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and
we're taking it seriously.
Yeah, and I think like now, I think everybody realizes that was not correct, because I think most of us know somebody who's young and healthy who has gotten this virus and been either very sick or passed away, and it's awful. And Mac, we love you. Thank you, Mac.
Mac's the best, my angel.
Brothers are the best, aren't they?
Seriously, I don't know what I would do without him.
My brother would have done the same for me. Family,
Mm-hmm.
But like, still though, like, going through all that alone must have been really tough, because I don't know, when I'm sick, like, I just want like my mom around, like I turn into like a little kid again, and I'm just like, yeah, mom, help me, and I like being alone when sick is really tough.
Also, I will say, I think men are like babies when they get sick.
I am, so I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah, that does not shock me that you're a baby. But no, it was really scary because I was alone, and even though I had people at my fingertips via my cell phone, like,
it's not the same.
It's not. And when my brother came over, like, I was just crying because I was physically so relieved to have another human there that, like, okay, like, if something happened to me, like, he would know. He would have last seen me, or he would have, like, known how many days it had been since I had human contact, or whatever. Like, it was just a relief because, like, I was so scared underneath it all. Like, I didn't even let on to my parents how sick I was because they live in Portland, Oregon. And, like, realistically, they couldn't have done anything, and my mom, the minute I sent her a picture of my thermometer that said 103 on day 3 when I was sick, and I got way worse than that, she freaked out and was like, should I fly there? Like, what should I do? And I was like, I don't want to put them through the anxiety and the scared of, like, having a child be that sick, and I knew in my heart of hearts I'm gonna be okay, like, if I really thought I was gonna fucking, like, not make it, or I needed to go to the hospital, I would have communicated that. But since I was like, I'm gonna be okay, like, I have to fucking tell myself that, like, I'm gonna be fine. And so, like, I just didn't let on to my parents exactly how sick I was because I didn't want them to worry. But I was telling people in, like, my New York circle, of course, like, but also, like, I'm one of those people, like, I thug it out when I'm sick. Like, I will just, like, take some Dayquil and, like, get through it, and, like, I didn't want to bother anyone. And also, I felt a little bit ashamed, which I think is a weird thing. Like, before I posted on Instagram that I had COVID, I was like, I don't know if I even, like, want people to know. Like, are they going to look at me like, like, damn, like, that's, like, what the fuck were you doing to catch that? Or, whatever. Like, there's this...
What were you doing, Lindsay?
I was at home! I don't know. But, yeah, like, there's a weird sense of shame that comes when, like, you're that sick. You just don't want to burden anyone, And, like... that's kind of how I was feeling, and that's how I feel a lot of the time, is I never want to, like, burden anyone with my problems, so I'll just, like, kind of, like, carry on. But in this case, like, people were really reaching out to me, like, are you okay? Is this really serious? Like, Melissa especially was a fucking godsend. Like, she came and stood at my window, and she brought me this little finger thermometer thing that checks your blood oxygen levels to make sure, like, if your oxygen levels get below, like, a 70 or an 80 or something, like, you need to or I think it's an 80, you need to like immediately go to the hospital because they need to like put you on a respirator and like get you oxygen into your lungs. And like mine was hovering at like early 90s. And so like she was really freaked out. She was like, dude, you need to monitor this like 24/7. And luckily it just went up every day after she brought that over. But yeah, it was really scary. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was really scared, and being alone just makes it that much worse. Like you want someone to be there to, like, if someone could have just brought me a mug of broth, you know, like it would have relieved so much like anxiety and stress that I had surrounding having to get up and go into the kitchen, you know, and even like opening the refrigerator and bending down to get a Gatorade or something was taxing. And so having someone there just to know that like if something serious did happen to me, like this person knows, like that, I think the element of like having that stripped away from people who are really sick and have to self-isolate and can't make it to the hospital or an urgent care center, like that's the part that's really scary because you're just alone. Yeah.
I remember when you were first getting sick, you weren't even that sick yet. I was like, we're gonna stop by and play music out your window so you can listen to music, and you were like,
I know, because at that point I couldn't, like, if someone made me laugh, like I was scared.
Yeah, dangerous being around me then.
Yeah, because it was so funny. Yeah, but like even if you guys had come and like stood outside my window, like I'm telling you, like I couldn't get up to like walk over to my window, like, and sitting there and being like, you know, like I would have just been like, dude, just don't fucking bother. Like I can't get up. Like, yeah.
Were there any things that you found like really like unexpected? You know, I think you were kind of like, you got sick pretty early on as like people in New York were still just starting to get sick, and I think you were the first person I know who got very sick from it. But like, you know, not all of the effects of the virus were really that known then. Like I didn't know that you lost like sense of smell and taste until like after you were sick. So when that happened to you, did you automatically know that was a symptom, or were you just like, what is going on right now?
No, because sometimes like when I get a small little cold, or like we travel so much for work, you know, and so like I constantly am like trying to like take vitamins and like vitamin C and shit to like keep up my immune system, but I will catch little like coughs and colds. Like I said previously, I have a chronic cough, and not chronic in the sense of weed smoking, but just a fucking bad cough all the time. And so I wasn't sure if like the sense of smell thing was coming from like just a minor cold, because that's happened to me before. You know, whenever you get stuffed up or you get a little cold or whatever, like your smell will go. But when I really couldn't smell or taste anything, like nothing. And it was like very sudden. Like it was on like day 2 when that happened. I was like, this is so weird. Like I didn't have, the thing is I wasn't stuffed up in my sinuses at all. I could breathe totally fine through my nose. And so like, it was just really, that part was really bizarre. And then like my stomach, like I had really bad, and sorry for all of you who are delicate around this subject, like I just had really bad diarrhea, like really fucking bad. And I didn't know if that was like just because I wasn't eating and I was like taking all this medicine and I was just drinking broth, and maybe that was like not meshing well with my system, but like it was really bad. And like that was even so much, made it so much worse because I was losing fluids and like I was so dehydrated. But like anytime I would even take a sip of water, I'd have to immediately go to the bathroom. And so like that side effect. And then I started doing a bunch of research, but also going on the internet when I was that sick was fucking terrifying. Like I had to stop myself from watching CNN, watching all the town halls with Dr. Fauci. Like I had to stop because I was so in my head about everything. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking die. Like I did, like it psychs you up so bad. But a lot of the articles were saying that like people had really bad stomach problems and lost their sense of taste and smell. And so I was like, okay, like if I wasn't certain before, like I definitely have this, you know. But like that was really the two main things that like were weird about it. Like, I expected the cough because of what everyone was saying, you know, bless you.
Thank you.
And I expected the fevers. I certainly was surprised at how high my fevers were for how many days. Like, having a fever for 10 days straight scared the fucking shit out of me. I've never had a fever for that long. Like, I've only had a fever for maybe 2 to 3 days, and then your body just kind of like fights it. And, you know, so like, I don't know, I would say those things were the most like surprising. And other than that, just like being that sick really just like shocked my whole system.
Yeah. So I was sick like the week before you got sick, basically, right? Or like we probably overlapped by a few days.
Oh, you were sick for a while then.
Yeah, I had a fever for 7 days. And it was, I mean, like I had a fever and I felt achy and I was very tired. But I didn't have a cough. I didn't lose my sense of taste. I definitely didn't lose my sense of smell because I had a fever and I was sweating a lot and smelled awful. So I was like, oh, this is good. I smell terrible. I can tell I smell terrible, so that's a good sign. But I kind of, maybe losing my sense of smell wouldn't have been so bad then because I was just like sweating 24 hours, just like.
Dude, same. I was going through 3 to 5 t-shirts a day.
Yep, and like my bed sheets, I like was changing every day, and then I was just like, I can't keep doing this, so I was just like, all right, I guess I'm just.
You're just sleeping in it, and it's fucking it was terrible.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't lose my sense of smell, and I knew that because I smelled terrible, and I was like, oh, I smell terrible, but I was like, yes, I can smell. It was like such a weird feeling to be like, oh man, you're sick, but you can smell how sick you are, so that's good.
Yeah, like honestly, I wanted to know, like I didn't shower for 10 days. 10 days I did not shower because I physically couldn't stand in my shower. If I had a bathtub, I think I would have tried to bathe, but like even thinking about like standing up and taking my clothes off and getting under the shower I was like, no, there's no way I can do this. And so like for 10 days it was just disgusting. Like I just felt terrible all around, but I couldn't smell, and so like I probably smelled terrible, but I was alone, and so I was like, you know, whatever, like just get through this. Like
I'm finding it difficult to shower these days, and I'm not sick anymore. I just don't have anywhere to go.
Wait,
like, what's the point, you know? You guys have been watching. I've been wearing the same outfit the entire time, so you know, whatever.
It's okay. No one's there. No, only your dogs can smell you.
Yeah. So wait, hold on. So like, what did you like? You didn't miss anything. Like, I guess that's the good thing, right? Like, nothing was happening. So like, the whole time you were stuck home sick, it's not like you missed out on fun stuff, you know?
No, not at all. And like, the only thing that was weird was when I came out of it, and my doctor cleared me to be able to like take a walk outside, and like then he cleared me. I was able to go to the grocery store. Like, so much had changed since I got sick. Because like when I got sick, like you said, pretty early on in this whole scheme of like what was happening in our nation, and people weren't really, I mean, yes, they were practicing social distancing, but they weren't really like TMI on the diarrhea.
No, that's my mom. I think she was talking to me.
People were not everyone was wearing masks and gloves. Not everyone had like tape in the stores. You didn't have to wait in line to go to the grocery store. They weren't monitoring the amount of people that walked into a Walgreens. You know, like when I emerged from all of this, all of a sudden everything in my neighborhood was completely different. And I was like, holy shit, like, okay, this is really fucking real. Like, I know how sick I was and that these things should have been implemented before, but like people just didn't know, you know, I think. And like New York especially is difficult because everyone lives on top of each other. Our apartments are small. People in my neighborhood in particular are just prone to being outside. Like, it's just like I live right off of Fulton Street. People are fucking on the block, you know. And like when I walked out to Fulton Street to go to Walgreens, like for Fulton, it was dead. And like everyone was wearing a mask. Everyone was wearing gloves. There were still people out there like bullshitting, but like for the most part, it was dead. And like it scared me because I was like, I'd come out of this like almost like 2-week coma kind of, where you're just like in your apartment confined and you're not leaving. You don't know what's happening in the outside world. I wasn't watching the news.
Why is everybody talking about this bitch Carol Baskins, right?
I had actually watched that right before I got sick, so shout out to Joe Exotic. He kept me running.
So you actually missed nothing, because that's the only thing that happened for the entire time you were sick. Missed things.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I will say like the outside world is all that like was really felt different to me. But like, yeah, with everything else, like everyone was just at home. The only thing that I think like shocked me is that when I did put my post up on Instagram, the volume of people that like private messaged me, DM me, texted me, and saying that like, wow, like you're the only person I know that this has affected. Like this was so eye-opening for me to see. Like, thank you for posting that. And I was like, really? But I think in New York, we just expect that like everyone that we know knows someone that's got it, you know, because we live in such close proximity. But across the broader like nation, and like I'm from Portland, like a lot of people in Portland don't know anyone that's gotten sick, especially as sick as I got, you know, like
Portland actually implemented all of the measures, all of the precautionary measures very early, because the original like outbreak was in Washington and Seattle, and so Portland,
so right next door. And so yeah, Portland adopted all the social distancing early, and they were smart because there's not very many cases there. And so like when I put that up online, I think it really like shocked people to be like, holy shit, like if someone I know got that sick, like the only reason I posted it was because I wanted people to know how serious this was, and how like, yes, like it can happen to you. Like I'm a young, healthy, normal person, like, and I was social distancing. I was being very careful, and I still got extremely sick. And so like the main thing the reason I posted that and I went into so much detail is because I wanted people to know, like, look, like we're not all safe from this. Like even if you don't live in New York, where people, you know, it's around a lot more. Like if you live in a different state where maybe you can get in your car and drive somewhere or whatever, but like it's still a threat, and it's still very much happening. And like we're in the height of it right now, which is so scary. It's like, go ahead.
In New York, I was saying, I think like, you know, the height of it in other places has not come yet, and I think that's why, like, you know, like I said when we started, I think it really like is difficult to wrap your head around this thing until you know somebody who's dealing with it, or lose somebody who was dealing with it. And you know, New York is in it, right? Like I said, most people in New York know somebody who knows somebody, or knows somebody very close that has been dealing with it, or who has unfortunately passed away from it. Right. But outside of New York, I don't think that's true yet. And so, you know, I think there's some places for sure, but New York might be in the height of it now, but I definitely think that there are some cities in the country that have not even come close to being at their heights in those communities yet, and still might not be taking the precautionary measures they need to be.
Right. Yeah, no, it's true. And like, it's tough because like one of my girlfriends who has like 50,000 followers, she messaged me and was like, is it okay if I repost your post? And I was like, absolutely. Like you have the type of following that like I wish I had been able to like get to, you know, like people that live all over the country, and some international people. Like my social media my community is small. And so like, yes, my post got shared, which is amazing, but like my immediate community, you know, like I was like, well, this is good that I'm posting this, but I was so grateful that other people were sharing it, because like a lot of people messaged me from like London and India and Ireland and Madrid and like all over the world and all over the country were DMing me being like, wow, like I saw this on someone's page or whatever, you know, and I was just grateful that like people with large social followings were sharing it, so that other people outside of my like close network were able to see like, look, like this is fucking real, and it happened to me, it can happen to you, like stay your ass home, because like that's really the only thing that is in our control.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy how much my attitude has changed about this since, you know, it first started in China and wasn't here yet. I mean, me and my mom were like laughing about it, you know, making jokes about it, and then suddenly realized that like, okay, like this is not something to joke about at all. My mom's older and has, you know, a ton of different issues that are like lung issues and is very susceptible to something like this. And like, you know, it just took a second for us both to pause and be like, oh, like, not something that needs to be joked about. This is serious, and we need to be very cautious. So, you know, I think we both really changed our habits and routines after that. You know, like I was still taking the train at the time. My mom was, you know, going to the supermarket and going on walks and like, you know, just outside too much. And I think, you know, once we realized that this was what it is, it hit pretty quickly, and things had to change really fast. And I just, you know, I guess it's just like, if there's anything to come out of, you know, dealing with a situation like this, or losing somebody to a situation like this, it's, you know, a lesson to other people to to change their habits and be safe. Sorry, Mom. I mean, I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. You've spoken to people back in Portland? Are they taking this more seriously?
Yeah, you know, I think everyone I've talked to in Portland is practicing social distancing, staying at home, and working from home. My close friends are all very, I think, like, scared and cautious, like more so I think in the beginning, like when that was a major threat happening in Washington State. I think it really like rocked Portland's core, you know, to be like, this is our next door neighbor and like this is really serious. I was getting so many texts from people in Portland being like, but this is on the very early end, remember, like I was still like working from home and like going out and taking walks and going to CVS and getting takeout food, but like practicing social distancing, but maybe not as much as I am now, you know. And like this is on the very beginning. People were like, how is New York? Is it really serious there? Like we haven't left our house in like 5 days. And I was like, oh, like I've been going on like one walk a day, and I went to CVS. Like, you know, I just think like they took it a lot more seriously in the beginning, and it took New Yorkers a while to like catch up, and we had to like feel it here, you know. Like New York is just one of those cities, like it's just like until it like fucking happens, like no, everyone's like, no, whatever, I'm fine.
But it's almost like, and obviously I don't mean it this way, but it's almost like a good thing it happened in New York first, because like I feel like when the rest of the country sees New York stop, they're like, oh shit, because like New York's been through it. Like when shitty things happen, they happen in New York. You know what I mean? Because New Yorkers New Yorkers can deal with it. If you get like when you don't live in New York and you see Times Square completely empty, that's gotta make you pause and be like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't go to my local like CVS in Gainesville, Florida, or wherever the hell I am if nobody's in Times Square. You know what I mean? Like that's like. I almost feel like it's obviously, like, I hate to say this, I love my city and I don't want anybody here to get sick or anywhere, but like I feel like if it had happened in like smaller rural areas first, it probably would have been worse, because like, I mean, New Yorkers wouldn't have taken it seriously, and I don't think other people in the rest of the country would have either.
Yeah, that's very true. It takes a city like New York to come to a halt for the rest of the nation to be like, holy shit.
Yeah, because it's something, I mean, it's never happened. I've never seen the streets of New York the way they are. Never.
Yeah, me either. Maybe during Sandy, but that was for like, that wasn't even the whole city, you know?
It wasn't the whole city. It was pockets of it. And the craziest thing, like, I remember during Sandy, I was in the Lower East Side, and it was a ghost town. There was no electricity below 14th, remember? Right. So, yes, it was a ghost town. And, but we drove over the bridge, and as soon as you get into Brooklyn, it was, like, normal. Because downtown Brooklyn was not affected at all. And so it was just like, yeah, I've seen it in the Lower East Side, but it was like, you know, a small portion, whereas like you could just drive over the bridge and everything was completely normal. Right now, it's like the whole city's like this, you know? It's wild.
Yeah. It's really crazy.
We have questions coming in. So top 3 things you'd recommend to anyone that starts experiencing symptoms. And obviously, we know you're not a doctor. We're not asking for medical advice. Just, you know, through your experience, like what you did, if there were things that you did that you were like, I'm really glad I did that, or maybe I should have done this, anything like that.
Yeah, so I actually gathered some things here so I could show you guys like what I did that helped me that was just straight up over the counter. If you don't have access to healthcare, if you don't have a doctor that can recommend or prescribe you things, like there's a pharmacy in New York called Capsule. They delivered all of my prescriptions to my front door, which is fucking amazing. Mac is not a doctor. He couldn't provide my prescriptions. But shout out to Mac again for my groceries.
Yeah, but Mac, step your degree game up, bro.
Yeah, Mac, why aren't you a doctor?
Yeah, Mac.
So, okay. Theraflu. This shit was a godsend because at night I was having such bad anxiety and I couldn't sleep through the night without a cough attack. So like the Theraflu, my doctor said it's okay to take this. I took the nighttime ones. If you start feeling flu-y or fevery, like this helps lower your fever, and it just helps you sleep through the night. And for any other fever, flu that I've gotten, this helps like kick its ass too. So I was taking that. I was taking a ton of emergency, just trying to fill up a water bottle a day and drinking it. And then because they were saying that you couldn't take Advil, I was taking extra strength Tylenol, 2 of them to help lower my fevers. The minute I would start profusely sweating and like going chilly and cold, I would take my 2 Tylenol and I would just, then I would start sweating even more, but like I knew my fever was breaking. And so those are just like things that you can get over the counter. And then again, the Mucinex, like this saved my life, honestly. Like you're not supposed to take more than 1 every 8 or 9 hours, but I had to take more. And I was kind of like, whatever, it's an over the counter, like I'll probably be okay. I don't think Mucinex is going to make me any worse than I currently am. But if you're starting to feel achy and shaky and a little fevery, like vitamin C, just try to like kick it before it starts. There's a few things that I take regularly, which is elderberry syrup all in 1 spoon, elderberry, black seed oil, and a couple drops of oil of oregano. And I put those all in 1 little spoon and just take it back. It doesn't taste great, but it really helps like fight what's going on. These are natural remedies. You're on mute.
That oregano, the oil of oregano is gnarly.
It's super gnarly, and also apple cider vinegar. I was taking a shot of that diluted with some water just to like try to get your immune system up. But honestly, if you catch this, like you're catching it. Like you can, I think if you really like can spot the symptoms in the beginning and try to up your immune system as much as possible with vitamin C, a little bit of oil of oregano. I heard some things that like elderberry wasn't great if you have COVID, but like I'm not a doctor. These are things that work for me that I use in my day-to-day life. So like do with that what you will.
I just got a text message with a Zoom invite for a friend of mine who passed away for his Zoom remembrance service.
I'm sorry.
I'm just so happy you're okay, Lindsay. I love you, and I'm just so happy you're okay.
Thanks, Debbie. Don't make me cry.
We've got other questions. Did your doctor say anything about a risk of reinfection at all?
So yeah, I asked this. They don't know. They don't know if I'm immune or not. I don't think anyone knows. My doctor said there's a very, very, very low chance that I would get this again, but that he couldn't say it for sure because nobody knows. The CDC hasn't really released anything like official. But he said, if this behaves like other viruses behave, there's a very low risk of getting infected again. And so that has given me some solace because I just am not sure what my body is doing right now. I signed up through Melissa, my nurse friend. She sent me
Melissa,
you're the best. She sent me something that through Columbia Medical School, and they're doing blood tests to see who has antibodies. If you were infected, you can sign up for this study, and they'll take your blood and so they can test like if you have the antibodies and like the plasma or what. I'm not speaking on this intelligently, but I don't know all the specifics. So I applied for that, and I'll see if I get accepted to the study, because then I would know for sure if I do have the antibodies and I'm testing negative and I'm immune. I don't like to use the word immune because it's not scientifically correct yet. Like, I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. But if I have the antibodies, then I at least know, like, I got through this and I very likely won't get sick again.
Yeah, yeah, and you might be able to help somebody else too. So, you know.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. One last question to end it on a light note. What movies, shows, music helped you get through all this? You had a lot of time with nothing to do. You couldn't even move. So, what were you doing to pass the time and just keep yourself sane?
I mean, if you know me, you know that I'm obsessed with The Weeknd, and his album had just come out, so I was listening to that like literally 24/7. But then that music can get a little depressing when you're alone all the time.
That's like a tough listen when you're just alone and sick.
Abel, I love you. You saved my life. Abel, if you're watching. Okay, I'm sorry. The Office, I'm a huge Office fan. I've literally watched it over and over again, front to back, from like 1,000 times. I'm a big scaredy cat. I can't watch anything scary. So Amen, the UK version is not the best, FYI. And what else did I do? Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, it was hard for me to watch things because I was so sick that I was just like looking at Instagram and then like sleeping. And I didn't like The Office would like make me laugh a little bit, and then I'd start coughing, and so I was like, fuck this, like I'm just not gonna watch anything. I would listen to podcasts. How I Built This is one of my favorite podcasts. I listened to a lot of episodes of that. Like I said, I had to just stop watching the news after a while because I was just scared. And yeah, like it was a long 10 days. Like I would wake up in the morning and be like grateful that I was like waking up and alive. Like, as crazy as that is to say, like I was just happy to be waking up. Then I was like, I have a full day.
It's 7 o'clock. You want to shout out our windows real quick?
Oh shit! Yeah, there's always people doing it.
I think this is a perfect way to end this. If you guys are watching, we hope you enjoyed this and learned something, and just had some fun chatting with us. Stay on Stimulus TV. We've got a fun movie tonight with New York Nico's Film Camp that starts in about 50 minutes. So keep it locked here. We got a fun movie we'll watch. We'll talk in the comments. And, Lindsay, thank you for sharing this. This was, it's just really good to see you and talk to you, honestly. Like, I'm just really happy I don't care what we were talking about, but, like, it's really good to see you and talk to you. And I think the best thing we can do right now is just show some love for all the people who have been helping you and other people who have been sick. So if everybody's watching wants to get out their window and scream for a second, that would be awesome.
Bye, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions about what I went through or whatever, you want to know anything about my experience, don't hesitate to DM me or text me or call me. I can talk on the phone now. My voice is back. I love you all, and thank you again so much for tuning in.